Hi, Thrivers. This is one of the most common and emotional questions that I often hear. How can I keep the house? I really want to keep the kids in the house. Are you worried that you just are going to have to sell the home that you and the kids love just because of the divorce? I get it, and this is something that I did. This is a scary and unpredictable time for you. Everything feels like it's shifting beneath your feet. My name's Tammy, and I'm a divorce mortgage specialist. I've been in the mortgage world for well over 30 years, and here's what I've learned. There's really a huge gap between family law and mortgage lending, and that gap can really cost people their homes. A house is usually the biggest asset in a divorce, and more than that, it's tied to your sense of safety and stability, especially when there's kids involved. But here's the truth. Legal advice alone does not equal a lending strategy. You need really both sides to be working together, legal and financial, to come together. So let's walk through what you really need to know. We're going to break this down into 3 simple parts: ownership, affordability, and loan responsibility. Let's start with ownership. Ownership of the house, you need to ask yourself these questions. Am I on the deed? Was the home purchased during the marriage? Did I live in the home during my marriage? Sometimes a home was bought before the marriage and it's used as an investment property. That might not be considered marital. Even if your name isn't on the mortgage, if the home was bought during the marriage and your name is on the deed, you likely have rights to it. But let's move on to affordability. Can you afford the mortgage on your own? Will you be receiving any kind of support? Sometimes it's called child support, spousal support, maintenance in some states. Do you know what's realistic for your monthly housing budget? This is really a critical part because keeping the house only works if it doesn't destroy your financial future. And the third thing to consider is loan responsibility. Is your name on the mortgage? If not, can you refinance or assume the mortgage? And here's a really big myth that I want to bust. Just because you're not on the mortgage does not mean you can't keep the house. I hear that a lot. You may still have options, but you need a clear strategy. So let's talk about what those options can be. Option 1, a mortgage assumption. This means that you keep the current loan in place and remove your ex from the liability, but you don't need to get a whole new loan. This comes with a very strategic strategy. Sounds simple, but it doesn't always work. Some loans are not assumable. And even if they are, you still need to qualify based on your own income and your own credit. When it works, it can be a great solution. Option number 2, refinancing into your own name. This is where you get a whole new loan, just in your name. You need to qualify using your post-divorce income, including support sometimes. Your credit and your debt-to-income ratio is going to matter. And this gives you full control and a clean break from the old loan. And then option 3 is an equity buyout. Sometimes in order to keep the home, you need to buy out your spouse's share of the equity. This can sound really scary, but you don't always have to pay for it in cash. It can be often structured into the refinance itself. So let me share a quick story of a recent client of mine. So I worked with a woman recently who was terrified she'd have to move with her 2 kids out of the home the only home that they knew. We sat down and looked at the numbers and created a plan that would allow her to stay without blowing her budget. We structured the buyout and the refinance together, and it worked. Her soon-to-be ex accepted the offer and she was able to move forward. You may not need to sell, but you do have to have a plan. So what should you do next? There's 3 simple action steps. If you have access to pulling the deed and mortgage documents, you should do that. Call your loan servicer, not your loan officer that did the loan previously, the loan servicer. there's a number on your statement at the very top that says Loan Servicing Department. You need to call them and ask them for the Assumption Department. And you need to ask, is my loan assumable? I'm going through a divorce. And they're going to say yes or no. If they say yes, you need some follow-up questions to that, such as, how much does it cost? What's the timeline? And what is the criteria? Sometimes they won't give you all of this information and they tell you, come back once you're divorced. Well, you have to make a lot of decisions in that period of time before you're divorced. And so understanding what taking that option looks like is where I can help. So if you talk to a divorce mortgage professional early in the process, not after the divorce decree is final, then it will help empower you to make better informed decisions. And please remember this, do not rely on your attorney for lending advice. They're trained in the law, not in lending or loans. That's where I come in. You deserve to know your options before you give up the home. So if this video helped, here are some next steps that you can take. Head over to my website and grab my ebook, Empowered Uncoupling, or schedule a call with me on my calendar. All of these links will be in the notes, or sign up for my newsletter for weekly tips and support. And of course, please subscribe to these videos because I'll be dropping these videos a couple of times a week, hoping 2 times a week. And I'll have more videos like this, some that'll be more in depth and more strategic for things that you need to know. And I really want to hear from you. Are you trying to keep the home post-divorce? If you are, drop a yes in the comments and I'd love to hear your story. You are not alone. You do not have to figure this out by yourself. It can be very scary and overwhelming. I'm Tammy, and I'm here to help you transform your endings into new beginnings.